Good evening, everybody. So this is a market recap for Friday, and then this is kind of what to expect this upcoming week on Monday, March 17th. Overall, on the S&P, we're just looking for that monthly higher low than 507. There's a long way to go before that is in the picture. We did make it down to 549, but I mean that's still another quite a bit on the. Let's see, we would have to drop another 7.5% to be talking, looking at that. So that is quite a ways. I'm not expecting that at this point. Basically, I don't expect a 20% correction on this. I think maybe it's possible we have set a bottom. Obviously, we need to see more data for that to be true, and it is definitely possible that we do see more downside. I don't think that's the more likely scenario at this point. But we have to gauge this bounce. That is the first and foremost. How much does the daily bounce? We just started on Friday, and 569.54 is would be setting our weekly higher low. So we need to break 569.54 to set that weekly higher low, and then we would just be looking for a lower high than the all-time high, which there is lots of room. If we break that, there's still 7.5% to the upside for the bears to gain control again. And what I'm going to be looking at is the first time we see hourly overbought conditions, do the bears come in with force and push us down at that point? And that is what sets a daily lower high. And that could be at this 569 level, and which will also be around our 12 daily moving average. That is a possibility. Or maybe 4-hour overbought sets our weekly lower high, and then we possibly can roll over as well. So it's going to be important to see what happens on this bounce, but it's just as important to see what happens on the pullback. And first things first, once this 4-hour bounce stops, we need to see where the higher low comes from, and we need to change the 4-hour trend, because this is only a straight shot right so far. No trends have been changed. This could just be shorts covering, and then shorts can just pile back on once at a better price to them, and so they have a level to play off of. So bulls are absolutely not out of the woods at this time, and the advantage is still to the bears. As long as we're under the daily 12 moving average, we can't hang our hat off of anything as a bull and have to assume that it is a bounce, and that's why I will be trying to get risk-free or trying to get a decent sized position on this bounce. So hopefully we do see some more follow through, that I can get that risk off position. But yeah, as far as everything else goes, so daily oversold. I was looking for daily oversold, and in a strong uptrend, daily oversold would mark the monthly higher low. And it looks like that could be a possibility at this time, because now we're starting to see a lower wick. We saw a big lower wick on the weekly, and starting to see that lower wick on the monthly as well. We need to see the follow through. We need to see the trend changes. And that is what I'll keep reiterating until we do see it. All right, so NASDAQ is a bit stronger and is attempting its daily trend change. It's in a bit of a 4-hour equilibrium right now. So we have the lower high, higher low, lower high. Now we're trying to find a higher low at this time, but we do have the 12 moving average underneath us, and it's trying to hold that. The NASDAQ was the only one out of all the indices that set a daily higher low instead of breaking down further with no follow through, whereas the Dow actually didn't even the Dow actually hit a bit more follow through. It was still technically a falling wedge, which we broke out of, but we had a bit more of a follow through each lower low. And the Russell only had a little bit of follow through, but the Russell's a lot more beaten up. Semiconductors are leading the bounce. So as far as the 4-hour trend change, they have changed their 4-hour trend. And these are the big guys. These are the ones that we want us to lift the market, because the more demand for semiconductors is more demand for everything else. You need the semiconductor demand at this time to lead the market up. And depending on the size, so right now all I am focusing on is the S&P itself, because it's just easier for me to, I mean, I could be looking at SMH as well, actually, for any pullbacks. But the S&P right now, to me, is the most important thing to be playing, because it's not that far from its all-time highs. It's only down 8% from its all-time highs, whereas a lot of these other tech names are much further away than that, so I just have less interest. And the S&P just has its own superpower where it can just somehow V-shape into new all-time highs. It's very crazy like that, and it doesn't perform like a regular stock does. You don't need as much volume to lift the S&P, and it just performs very well. And whereas playing an individual name, I want to see where individual names make it relative to their all-time high, to see which ones are the closest and which ones I would buy on the pullback. So names, Meta's a bit far from its all-time high, so we're down 17%. So I have a lot less interest in playing Meta, who now has a potential monthly Head and Shoulders in the picture. See, there's names like this are kind of going to be out of my sight for the next little while. They have so much proving to do that they just have little interest to me at this time. Nvidia, so Nvidia still has quite a bit of resistance up here. So yeah, I'm less interested in Nvidia. It may have its day again coming soon. It very well could. There's better names out there to be playing as far as upside potential. I want to find one. Yeah, Tesla. We hit down 55% from its all-time high. Now, we did get a good bounce so far, but that is all it is. And now we have to literally go 100%. Well, from the low, we have to go 120%, 125% or whatever, just to get back to its previous all-time high. And do I want to play something that's going to go like this and take forever and not so much? I just don't have the interest in that. Whereas I want to play a name that's ready to hit fresh blue skies. That being said, only 16 names made new all-time highs on Friday, so not too many. So that doesn't help that much for that, and that's simply why I'm playing the S&P, because it is close enough to its all-time high, and it performs differently than individual stocks. It goes up much better than individual stocks. So Apple hasn't even seen its daily bounce yet. As far as its all-time high, it is down 18%. I'm not interested in Apple. Not interested in Apple. We also had this Head and Shoulders that definitively broke bear and closed under now. So caution on Apple, caution on a lot of things. IBM, I am more inclined to play. It looks like this could have been a reversal candle being put in on Friday. So IBM is 6.7% down from all-time highs. It's better than the S&P. This is a name that is lifting the market. All right? IBM. And any name that is less than like 8% from its all-time high, I would keep a good watch on that. Google, just daily bear flag still. Trying to put in a daily high or low. Oh yeah, actually it technically did. Never mind. We're in kind of a 4-hour equilibrium. So it's mimicking the NASDAQ. So the break of that will give you your short-term direction. Amazon, same thing, way down from its all-time high in a 4-hour equilibrium. The break of that will be your guide. Baba. Okay, so this is a bit different. Although it is not anywhere near its all-time high, it still has a lot of momentum behind this name, and it's near 52-week highs. So if there's no names making all-time highs, I'm interested in names that are making 52-week highs. So this is the most momentum they've had in over a year, and that's interesting. So relative to its 52-week high, Baba's down 2.7%. The problem is once this is in it's not a blue sky breakout. There is momentum behind it, but you still have to pay attention to these previous resistances because they're definitely going to be coming into play. So I think 150 to 152.31 here is going to be a potentially target zone here in the near future. I'd be inclined to potentially buy 1 hour or 4 hour oversold for Baba at this point. It is just one of the names that is standing out. AMD, I have absolutely zero interest in. It's down over 50. It's just as bad as Tesla. It's probably worse than Tesla. 57% down from all-time highs. Nothing but resistance on your way up. I mean, as far as a long-term investment, we could be talking about that. We're getting close to weekly oversold. So it could be a good time for a longer-term investment, but I'm not interested in it as far as any type of trade goes. Visa. Let's see how Visa's doing. Visa's down 9.48%. So that's closer to an all-time high. We haven't even hit daily oversold yet on Visa. I would actually be interested in daily oversold on Visa. I'm going to mark that. I marked daily oversold on Visa. I am interested in that. We haven't reached it yet, but we are close. And that would essentially you would be wanting to mark that monthly high or low at that point if this is going to remain a strong uptrend. So RGTI, one of our bounce leaders, very big day on Friday, up 28.23%. This is a breakaway candle, and all we are looking for now is a weekly lower high than 1620, and this is just a giant equilibrium at this point, and we could possibly be looking at 4-hour overbought, maybe 4-hour overbought. This could be, if we lose the 4-hour trend here, that could be a first indicator that as long as we keep this 4-hour trend on RGTI is a good look, but as soon as we lose the 4-hour trend, then we could be talking about a potential weekly lower high being set. All right, so for Microsoft is really just, we hit an officially a monthly downtrend, but we also haven't got any follow through on a monthly downtrend. So what that could be is a quarterly bull flag. So from this low, which is a long time ago, we're still holding the 0.382 and the 12 EMA for the quarterly, the 3-month. So that's pretty decent, and we're still well above the previous all-time high here. So we could be looking for a potential bottom here in Microsoft coming up. Pretty decent bounce on Friday. Obviously the 4-hour trend has changed. The daily trend has changed actually. I'm not going to call that. Never mind. The 4-hour trend has changed, yes, but the daily, no. So now we are looking for a daily lower high than 402.15, and whenever we top out on this we will be looking for an inverse head and shoulders on the daily. So Microsoft is starting to turn around. I might look for that higher low once we see this top out on the daily. And that could be in the form of hourly oversold, or something of that sort, or a 4-hour trend change back bullish, something like that. SMCI. So overall, I just don't like SMCI. I know they had their issues. So yeah, SMCI, we're looking for that weekly higher low. We did set it last week. On Friday, we set it officially. Oh no, sorry. I guess we did it on Wednesday. We set the weekly higher low. Not a lot of follow through at this time. Let's see. We're still a weekly bear flag. We need to get more continuation. And then, yeah, to give us more conviction that this is going to maintain our weekly uptrend. Because we had a weekly downtrend here, and then this was just one big bull move. It never actually changed the weekly trend. This was technically just a bounce. It was big time short covering, but I'm only going to call this a bounce. It did break a lot of levels for sure, but it sold off huge. It made no support on the way back or on the way up, and now we're faced with a weekly bear flag potential and risk of more downside at this point. So we need to see more happen. We did. I barely changed the daily trend, but yeah, we're not looking good on SMCI. We need more follow through on this weekly bounce. Crowd, big weekly hammer getting set last week, and let's see, daily oversold. Is that marking the monthly higher low potentially? Yep. We had lots of room down here. How far are we from all-time highs? 22%, so that's still enough that I'm not overly interested in it. So if this has been a good bounce so far. We have changed the daily trend. Now we need to officially break the high of last week to set that weekly higher low, and then we're just looking at all-time highs as far as the bears need to defend, which is quite a ways. I mean, they're still like 28%. We're 28% from all-time highs, so quite a ways. Spotify, wow, that's been quite a recovery. So daily oversold, looks like it's trying to mark our monthly higher low, and we are only down 11.9% from all-time highs, but still quite a significant bounce. We're closed above the daily 12 EMA. Now we're having all the EMAs below us, which is a great sign. So when this tops out, we're looking for a lower high than 626.56 at this point. And whenever that happens, we'll be looking for this daily inverse head and shoulders. So wherever this is the top that we're looking at, and then for the inverse head and shoulders, we'll be looking at this. Where does our neckline come from? But this move still hasn't topped out yet. We have increasing volume, so that looks good. And no sign of the bears yet. So looking good on Spotify. That could be another name that goes on my watch list here soon. Netflix down 13.25% from all-time highs. Trying to put in that weekly higher low as well. Then we'll just be looking at the all-time high for resistance, or not resistance, but the bears are looking to set a lower high than the all-time high. Still not a bad look, but we now have this Head and Shoulders on watch, and there's our neck. We can't say that yet until the high of last week gets broken. This is quite a big volume candle too, so it's looking convincing that this could be a bottom, but the price action needs to match. So JP Morgan, the banks used to be holding up really well, now down 17%. And I was more interested in them at one point, but they kind of failed me. So I did drop, I had Morgan Stanley before, but I got into a good trade and ended up having to cut it just because I saw the writing on the wall with the whole market. But just a daily bear flag at this point. We hit daily oversold. We want that to be marking the monthly higher low. We hit the 12 moving average on the monthly. So this is where we need the bulls to step up and change the daily trend. And that will give us another tick in the box for the bulls that this is setting the monthly higher low. RCL, just a daily bear flag at this point. Need to see more of a bounce so we can set that higher low. Coinbase. Yeah, no sign of the bulls yet. No sign of the bulls. Doesn't look like the weekly's ready to bounce yet at this point. Need to change the 4-hour trend as step one, and we haven't made a lot of room here. We're in a bit of a 4-hour equilibrium, but it's not looking good for the bulls. We are quite a ways from our recent high as well, so Coinbase has a ways to go. And even when we do find a bottom here for the monthly, we are just looking at a monthly Head and Shoulders. So caution on Coinbase on a longer term scale that we could be putting in a monthly or a monthly Head and Shoulders. AVGO still trying to put it in its monthly higher low. Having a bit of trouble with the 12 moving average on the daily right now. Just a weekly inside bar, so we haven't officially changed set the weekly higher low. Set the weekly low there, and then we would just be looking for a weekly lower high than this previous 237.89, 237.93, sorry. So not in any interest for me. AVGO, just like Nvidia. And I think that's all I'm going to go over right now. Like I said, I'm just focusing on the ETF right at the moment until I can see clear winners from individual stocks and where I should be focusing my money, because that's just the way I do things. It's the easiest. If everything's just chaotic everywhere, well, then it's just go to the ETF, because it's the easiest thing to trade, and less risk to headline risk. I guess if the ETF is seeing headline risk, everything else is seeing headline risk too. So that's what I have to say about that, and I will try and be here for maybe the pre-market tomorrow. I don't know. It's been a rough go, so I'll see you possibly tomorrow morning, but I will do a market recap tomorrow evening. All right, take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.